a cute little furry creature starts multiplying, and then the really ugly things start forming.
Hey guys, Kenny here. Stay cool and relax to the movies.
Gremlins. This is the 1984 science fiction horror comedy. This is directed by Joe Dante, and it's about this man who's a father of this young man who's going to be giving this little furry creature called a Mowgli to. He goes into Chinatown to get it by this Mowgli, and he's told 3 different rules. One, don't shine bright lights at it, don't get it wet, and don't feed it after midnight, or else, don't shine bright lights at it because it gets scared, don't get it wet or it will multiply like little furry white little balls will fly out of it, and then there'll be more of those little things. And then don't feed it, or else that'll also happen, but then it will be really ugly things. There are other really ugly gremlins, and that's the start of it. Then the dad brings that thing, little Mowgli, to his son, and what do you expect? He shines bright lights at it, gets it wet, and then it starts multiplying, so you get more of those little cute furry little things. And then he feeds it after midnight, after told emphatically not to do that. And he gives in because of every one of them being what they call little squeaking, crying, and he gives in to that. And then these really ugly things start forming. I think they regurgitate, and then they're these really tall, mound kind of things, around this tall. And then that's when those really ugly things start forming, and then they start torturing the little Mowglis. And I think the main one is named Gizmo. And then the more they eat and the more they get wet, the more those little ugly things start multiplying. And then the young man with his girlfriend, played by what's her name, Phoebe Cates, and Zach Gala something, I forget his last name. It's like Galifianakis. They both have to try and go and try and destroy these things. And then I think they learn that the way to stop them is something they never thought of before. I think it's like fire or something. It's not water. And that young man tries to tell the police there, the local police, about what's going on. And then of course they don't believe him. They think he's talking gibberish. And then they really start understanding him. So I think the most famous scene in this film is when I think the mother of that young man, she encounters one of those ugly gremlin things, and then it starts attacking her. She holds up this board thing while it's throwing anything that's glass at her. So it's throwing those things at her, and they're breaking on that board. And then I think she puts it in the microwave, and then it explodes. So that's really what this whole film was about, trying to stop those really ugly things. And it's really great. Okay, what I liked, the acting overall is really good. I liked all the acting. The screenplay is kind of, although it's good, it's a little bit weak. If it had been written a little bit stronger, when those ugly things start forming and destroying things, I think that's when the screenplay and the script really get kind of doled down. It's kind of like it gets dumbed down, because before that, when there was only Gizmo and then those other little Gizmo things start forming, that was when the script was at its strongest, in my opinion. And that's when you really start understanding what's going on. And that was when it was also really fun. That had a lot of technical information that you really got to understand. It did help that part of the story. And then when those ugly things formed, and that young man trying to destroy those things, that's when it really, although it was fun, I like those the scenes those really ugly things were in. It really just seemed like it was going through the paces of like a comedy science fiction thing during the 80s, and it really seemed like doled down. It wasn't boring, but it certainly seemed dumbed down and doled down. If it had been written a little bit stronger when those things started appearing, it probably would have fared better with critics. I know there are a lot of fans of this film, but it would have fared better a little more, and it probably would have grossed a lot more. I know it grossed over 150 million, but if that second half had been written a little stronger, it probably would have made quite a bit more. So I like the acting, and then the screenplay, and the first half is really very strong, and then the second half is when it really got dumbed down, in my opinion. And let's see, the best things in this really were the mechanical effects. There really wasn't like special or visual effects, although there were things exploding, but I don't think there was anything like visual effects wise that computer generated that were put into this. If there were, it's not really very noticeable, because they did it so well in this film. The mechanical effects of those little ugly creatures, and then the gizmos, and Gizmo, the main one, and then the little bitty ones, the mechanical effects of those things is really beautiful and brilliant. I loved how they were able to operate those things, and physically, and it's real things that they were working with. They were moving like the eyes, the ears moved a lot, and the mouth, and the arms. And so that's really what I really appreciate about this film, though it's not computer generated, those little creature things, and I'm very glad about that. I think it was either Stan Winston or Rob Bottin, I forget who did those little creature things, but it was brilliant and really beautiful how they, even though those things are ugly, it was still beautiful how they were being operated and were used in the film, especially in this party scene where all those ugly things, or one of them is spinning on this ceiling fan, and then I think it goes flying over to over a drinking bar, and yeah, those things all being like dressed up. They have like those little streamer things on them, so they're really having a good old time. I know that must have taken a long time to try to operate those things individually, and I can only imagine what the filming was like with those, and trying to operate the camera and operate those things at the same time. Ooh, that must have been extremely tough. So there were a lot of things I really enjoyed in this. It's the screenplay that's really the weakest part in this film, but that's about it. Click subscribe up here on my channel, or down here if you're watching the video by itself. Yeah, like, comment, and subscribe. So I'll give this a 4 out of 5 stars, so stay cool and roll out to the movies. Bye.